Hi, so in this last part of the video I'm going to show you how you can create your own background papers again, but this time I'm going to show you how you can do them using PNG images and then how you can bring these into your sticker sheets and print them. So to save some time, I've brought some little images here. These are just PNG images that are on the screen here. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to choose a square, and holding the control key down on my keyboard, I'm going to drag a square out. Doesn't matter what colour it is or anything at the moment. And I'm just going to use the select icon to select it. I'm going to come down here and remove the stroke, but leave the fill as it is for now. Then I'm going to unlock the padlock and I'm going to make it 3 inches wide by 3 inches high. So I'm going to type 3, then tab on my keyboard, and 3 again, and enter. Now before we go any further, the next thing you have to do is come to Edit, down to Preferences. In the Preferences box that opens, you need to look for Behaviour, and if it's not expanded, click on the plus sign next to it and come down and choose Steps. In the first box along the top, arrow keys move by. Make sure this is on inches. If yours is on pixels, just click on the word PX and scroll up to inches and change this to 3 because that's the size of the square that we've just made on our page, and then close the box down. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to go and look for my sticker sheet that I made in the last video. This is it, part 3 SVG. So I'm going to choose Open, and that's going to open another page with my stickers on. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose this pink for now, I think, because these other colours have not got much pink in them. So I'm going to choose this pink. I'm going to select this pink box, come down here to the bottom, and on the fill I'm going to right click and choose Copy Colour, and then just minimise this down out of the way. Then back in this page, I'm going to make sure that this square, this blue square, is still selected. I'm going to come down to where it says Fill, right click, and I'm going to choose Paste Colour. And that's now made my box the same pink as my planner sheet. Now again, I'm going to show you how to make your background paper as I did in the previous video. So I'm just going to run through this a little bit quicker because you can refer to part 4 for how to do it. So I'm going to select my first shape, making sure the padlock's locked. I'm just going to take it down in size, and then I'm going to do the same with these shapes. As long as your padlock's locked, when you drag them down by a corner, they'll scale down in proportion. I'm just going to zoom out a bit more to make my page bigger now, hopefully for you to see better. And I'm going to start duplicating these shapes. You can use Control D or right click and duplicate. It's up to you, whichever you prefer. Now I'm going to get this cloud and I'm going to place it so it overhangs the box. And because it overhangs the box, and this box is 3 inches square, and we set our step preferences to 3 inches, with this selected, I'm going to go Control D on my keyboard, which puts a copy directly on top, and then I'm going to use the down arrow and it will move the copy exactly 3 inches to the opposite side. As I said to you in the last video, anything at all you put on the outside hanging over your square has to be duplicated and then mirrored in the opposite way. So if you're up here, it has to be mirrored down. If you're on this side, it has to be mirrored this side. Anything you place in the middle, it doesn't matter what you do. So I'm just going to make this first little sun. smaller and position that just on the page. I'm going to make the ice lolly smaller. Remember, I've duplicated these, so I've got, you know, 2 of each one layered on top of each other. Now I'm going to come back to the ice lolly and I'm going to drag it over here and I'm going to position it hanging over the square. Now you can see it's behind the square, so I'm just going to come to this icon here, sorry, this one here, and raise it to the top. And now it's on the top, I'm going to Control D and hit the up arrow, and that will put the copy directly above. I'm just going to get these ice screens and shrink them down. Drag these over. I'm just going to position them just over the edge. I'm going to zoom in so I can see a little bit more. The edge. I think I'll put them here. While they're selected, Control D and use the left arrow on my keyboard. Now I'm going to bring in the rainbow, shrink it down, and then just position that in the middle. I'm just going to zoom back out so I can see all the shapes I've still got left. Then with this cloud, I'm going to shrink it down so it's really small. And I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to put one over here. And I'm going to put one over here. And you can't see it, it's gone behind, so I'm going to raise it to the top. And while it's selected, I'm just going to move it. So as I said, anything that's within the square you can move around and resize as you want to. So if I want to make a duplicate of this ice lolly now and shrink it right down and then put a smaller one down here somewhere, I can do. But anything that overhangs the edge you've got to leave. So I'm going to use this sun now and I'm going to shrink it down so it's really small. Just going to bring it up here so you can see it a little bit more, but keeping it away from this canvas of design here. With it selected, I'm going to duplicate it a couple of times. Then I'm going to drag the copies and I'm just going to position them around the pattern paper. So obviously you could carry on and do, you know, more and more, but for now I'm just going to get rid of these because I don't need them. So I'm going to drag a box around them and hit delete. Now I'm going to select the pink square and I'm going to use Control D or right click and duplicate, and that puts the duplicate directly on the top. So again, we've made like a sandwich of our design. We've got the pink box on the bottom, we've got our PNG images placed overhanging and within the box, and then we've put a copy on the top. I'm going to left click and drag an imaginary box around everything, and once everything's selected I'm going to come to Object, Clip, Set, and that's taken away everything that overhangs. And while everything's still selected, I'm going to go to Object and Group, and that's now made us a piece of 3-inch pattern paper, but we need to tile it so that we can then shrink it down even smaller, and we've got all the matching bits that will all tile together. So I'm just going to bring it down here. With it selected, I'm going to do Control D or right click and duplicate and then hit my right arrow. And then with this one selected, I'm going to do the same. Duplicate and hit the up arrow. And then with this last one selected, duplicate and hit the left arrow. And that's now given us, if you click away, a piece of paper that all matches up, that all meets up and is all symmetrical. I'm going to drag an imaginary box around everything and go to Object and Group. And you could print that pattern paper from there now, but I want to make this smaller so that I can use it within our planner sheet. So once it's all a group and it's saved, making sure the padlock is still locked, I'm going to come over to the width and I'm going to type 2 inches, hit the tab key on my keyboard or the enter key, and that's now made this piece of pattern paper 2 inches square. And I'm going to go back to our original SVG sticker sheet and select this pink one. I'm going to go right click and copy and just minimize it down out of the way, and then I'm just going to come back to this page, right click and paste. So that's now brought my plain sticker on here, and I'm going to turn this into a piece of pattern paper. So with this pink box selected, I'm just going to change the size because it's not coming at the right size, so it needs to be 1.5 by 1.9. And then I'm going to lock it. So now I've got this pattern paper here that's a square and it's all tiled. I'm going to go to Object, Pattern, Object to Pattern. I'm going to click on the rectangle, and from the Fill and Stroke dialog box, I'm going to click on Pattern, and it's going to fill this with pattern. I'm going to double click on my pattern paper and I'm going to drag this in to make it a lot smaller. Then I'm going to use the select icons to select it, and then I'm going to come back to Object, Pattern, Object to Pattern, select this sticker again, and then come back to the pattern and find this smaller pattern. So you need to come here, you can't name these, but if you click on the drop down arrow, it's always the last one. So I'm going to select that, and now that's filled my sticker sheet with this smaller pattern. When I brought it in before, it was too big. If I come to the magnifying glass and zoom in, you'll see now I've got my repeating pattern that all lines up in the size of my sticker, 1.5 by 1.9. I'm just going to go back to fit to map. Now, you need to export this as a PNG to bring it back onto your sticker sheet, else I found it wouldn't print. If you just bring it over as an SVG, when I printed my test sticker sheet, everything printed except the place where this was. So what you need to do, you need to come over to the Align box and make sure this is selected, and you're going to go File, Export PNG Image, and from the new dialog box that's open, you're going to choose Selection, because we don't want to save everything, we just want this for now. Then you're going to hit where it says Export As, and your box will open. Give it a name. I'm just going to call this Pink Background, and then .png. I'm going to choose the desktop as the place to save it, and I'm going to hit Save. Now that's not saved it. You've got to come down here and hit the green check mark next to Export. If you don't do this, it won't save it. And when I click on this, you'll probably see a box open up at the top left here showing you it's saving. So I'm just going to click Export. There's the box telling me it's saved, and it's now put it on my desktop. And as you can see, Pink Background PNG. So now I'm just going to leave this one here as it is for now, and I'm going to open our SVG Part 3 sticker sheet. So here is Part 3 SVG Inkscape. I'm going to come to File, Import, go to my desktop and find that piece of patterned paper we've just made that's the size of our sticker, and I'm going to click Open. This dialog box will open. Leave everything as it is here and say OK. And it's now brought our PNG on, but it's brought it on much bigger. So with it selected, you have to come and lock the padlock and then just change the size. So 1.5 by 1.9, and that's instantly now made that the size of our sticker. So if I wanted to replace one of these coloured plain swatches now with pattern paper, I could either choose one and delete it, or I can drag this over, place it roughly on top, go to Edit, Preferences, go back to Behaviour and Steps, and this time change it back from inches to pixels and make it 1, but 1000, well 1 and 4 zeros. I think that's the default, and then close it down. And now with this sticker sheet selected, I should be able to use the arrows on my keyboard and nudge it over 1 pixel at a time. If you don't do that, when you hit your arrow keys, it will jump it over 3 or 4 inches, however it was set from your previous step. I'm just going to hit this icon here, which is lower to bottom, left click anywhere on the page to deselect, and then I'm just going to choose this peachy colour and hit delete on my keyboard. So now I've replaced one of my plain colours with a piece of pattern paper. And because this is now an image, I can now go File, Save As. I'm going to call this now Part 5 SVG. I'm just going to put it on my desktop for now and save. And that's now saved that template including the pattern paper. But you don't have to do that. You could just print your pattern papers separately if you want, but if you want to use your sticker sheets as a template, then just, delete one and bring something else in its place. But I've still got Part 3, which had the peach piece here, because I've just resaved this as Part 4. So I hope that makes sense. It is a little bit confusing, I know, because these were all SVGs, but to make this print from Inkscape, you need to have this as an image within your SVG sheet. So from here now, you would go File, Print, open your print dialog box and print. I would print in draft first on a piece of copy paper, just to make sure that you've got these all aligned up within the printable area. And once you've done it in draft, on mine, it's generally within my printer preferences or within my page setup, something like that. I can change it here. But once you've printed it on copy paper and you know they all print within a piece of A4, you can then load your printer up with your A4 sticker sheet and print it directly from Inkscape. And because you're saving it as an SVG file, you can always come back to it and change these colours. So if you decide, I don't want pink anymore, now I want to completely change the colour, select it, go to Object, Ungroup, and then you could change it to orange if you want. So Set Fill, and that's changed it. And so the next time, if you wanted to do a Halloween theme, you could just go along and change your colours accordingly, or as I showed you in the other video, go to the website and find a template colour scheme and then just change them that way. I'm just going to undo this for now. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. One last thing I would just say, all you need to do once you've printed this is load this onto your ScanNCut mat, scan it into your machine to apply your outline to all these shapes. So as I say, I hope you found that helpful. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't already do so, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.